How would you feel if your greatest hero, the person you admire the most, called you for an interview with a real opportunity to work together and then left in the middle of your first meeting? That's exactly what happened to Herbie Hancock in 1963. Let's dive into this unbelievable story and, most importantly, see what we can learn from it. Hey there, if you're new here, I'm Davide and this channel is about music, creativity and learning from the greatest artists in history to improve our lives and unlock our creative potential. After the success of Watermelon Man, Herbie Hancock heard that Miles Davis was looking for him. Consider that at the time, Herbie was a promising young jazz pianist, just establishing himself in New York, while Miles Davis was already one of the most influential figures in the history of jazz. Davis had also already recorded Kind of Blue, widely regarded as one of the greatest jazz albums ever made. So for the young 23-year-old Herbie, Miles Davis was a star. One day Miles called him and asked,
"You working with anybody?"
Herbie replied no, so Miles simply said, "Come to my house tomorrow." Herbie considered that as an audition opportunity, so he accepted, and the day after, he found himself in the company of Miles, along with Tony Williams on drums, Ron Carter on bass, and George Coleman on saxophone. They began playing together, and Miles Davis played a little, he barely spoke, and after a while he threw his trumpet on the couch, and he ran upstairs, leaving Ron Carter to lead the session. Herbie was surprised. He didn't really know what to think, but he kept playing anyway. Miles invited him back the next day and the day after that, when he finally returned to join them, playing a little bit more, and then he said, "Okay, next week we're gonna meet at 3:30 p.m. at Columbia Recording Studios." Confused, Herbie asked,
"Does that mean I'm in the band?"
With a gleam in his eye, Miles responded,
"You're making that record, m-."
Now, what's really surprising is that only 20 years later, Herbie found out that when Miles ran upstairs to his bedroom, he was actually listening to them over the intercom. Miles knew his presence could be intimidating, and he noticed that Herbie was nervous. By finding a way to listen without being physically there, he allowed Herbie to perform without fear. So, what can we learn from this story? Miles Davis was undeniably the most important figure in the room. He was the star, the band leader, the one with more experience selecting the musicians he wanted for his next record. He had every right to be in the room, play with the musicians and assess their abilities under pressure, even if it made them nervous, right? Not really. Miles showed us the importance of compassion. His ego could have made him stay, potentially causing Herbie to feel nervous and risking his chances of being selected. But that would have been a mistake, as Miles would have never truly understood the real potential of the pianist. Instead, he ended up hiring not only the 23-year-old pianist, but also the 17-year-old drummer Tony Williams. Both would later become the core of his second quintet, making Davis, and I quote, "excited all over again." Miles didn't allow his ego to get in the way. He was wise enough to remove himself where he wasn't needed. That's the kind of person Miles was, but there is still so much more to learn from his life. Let's talk about it in our next video. I'll see you there.